Hello, class. I'm sure you're having the time of your life right now in Greece, and really immersing yourself in both modern and ancient Greek life. By now you're pretty far into the journey of Alexander, and soon you will come to one of Alexander's most controversial political and military events, his destruction of Thebes. This is where I come in. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain the who, what, where, when, and why of this event. Hopefully, at the end, you'll gain a better understanding of Alexander's actions and be able to thoroughly enjoy yourself on site. So let's start with some background leading to the destruction. In 336, Philip, Alexander's father, is murdered, and Alexander assumes the throne. Unfortunately, Philip's death causes restlessness in Greek states about the stability of Macedonian rulers. Thus, Alexander starts what is called his European campaigns. The year is 335, and Alexander is far on his way through his European campaign. He is seized by what we call pothos, or desire, to conquer and subjugate city-states in the surrounding area. Even more so, these campaigns brought upon by his pothos become expeditions to hush and calm the surrounding areas, which were attacked by surrounding nations. So, Alexander fought back. He went across the Danube and subjugated the Getae and Celtic tribes. Once he finished that, he turned west and destroyed the Illyrians, who had recklessly invaded Macedonia. While he had great success conquering nearby peoples and expanding his control over the area during his European expedition, his absence caused an uproar in the Greek states, particularly Thebes. There was one key issue that led to Thebes revolting against Alexander's rule. That is, that he was gone for so long that Macedonians started believing he was dead. Beyond the length of time, rumors of him dying while fighting the Illyrians also began to surface. Thus, Thebans, restless and fed up with Macedonian hegemony, decided to revolt against Alexander's rule. Some other Greek states also offer some support, including the Athenians. Alexander quickly finds out, and in only 14 days marches 380 kilometers from Pelion in Illyria to Thebes. When Alexander arrives and demands them to stand down, that he'd only want the authors or beginners of the rebellion, and everyone else could be pardoned, the Thebans did not stand down. And here's the event that is traditionally known as one of the worst deeds Alexander ever committed, the destruction of Thebes. Alexander's troops attacked Theban gates, broke through the city, and surrounded them. Arrian actually says that Alexander did not make the call to attack, but Perdiccas began the assault, whereas Plutarch states that Alexander immediately called for his army to attack, after Thebes demanded Antipater and Philotas. He brought with him an army of 30,000 veteran fighters from Philip's original army. They all followed Alexander's commands unwaveringly. And thus, Thebes was destroyed in 335. The entire city was razed, destroyed, and many Thebans fell to their deaths. There were 6,000 killed and 30,000 taken prisoner and sold as slaves for 440 talents of silver. Diodorus gave his chilling account of the ultimate defeat of the Thebans, and this is what it was. All the city was pillaged. Everywhere boys and girls were dragged into captivity as they wailed piteously the names of their mothers. In some, households were seized with all their members, and the city's enslavement was complete. Of the men who remained, some, wounded and dying, grappled with the foe, and were slain themselves as they destroyed their army. Others, supported only by a shattered spear, went to meet their assailants and, in their supreme struggle, held freedom dearer than life. As the slaughter mounted and every corner of the city was piled high with corpses, no one could have failed to pity the plight of the unfortunates. While almost all were destroyed, some were spared. Alexander did not destroy the temples, nor the priests living in them. He also spared the poet Pindar and his descendants, and any truly known opponents to the public vote for war in Thebes. In fact, Alexander showed that even during the destruction of Thebes, he had an honorable character, as seen in the incident with Timoclea. Timoclea, a matron of the city of Thebes, was raped and beaten by a Thracian captain. Alexander finds out, and for vengeance gives her and her children her freedom, and allows her to push the captain down her well, throw stones at him, and kill him. So what were the repercussions of the destruction of Thebes? For political reasons, this was greatly successful in stifling any other potential revolts in Greek states that wanted their independence. Because Thebes was so desperately annihilated, where no man, woman, or child were really spared, other cities viewed this as a truly vicious, deadly, and brutal spectacle. Think of it as a warning, much like Alexander did. He made an example out of Thebes, who were fiercely proud and fought to the death for their independence. And in return, the city was completely and utterly ruined, and the people in it. Also, it is important to look at the psychological implications of destroying Thebes. Philip, Alexander's father, was born in Thebes. Their relationship is a tough one to really determine, though through incidences such as Alexander's taming of Bucephalus, where his father and him obviously clashed in trust, and even perhaps the idea that Alexander and Olympia were involved in the murder of Philip, one can speculate that there may be a distinct connection to the brutality inflicted upon the Thebans. Perhaps it was a sort of revenge upon his father. Lastly, how did this affect Alexander as a ruler? This gave him one of the most powerful weapons one can wield against its underlings: fear. Greek cities who considered revolting now greatly feared him. They were overwhelmed by his power and just how far he would go to exert it. Later, though, it is said that Alexander personally regretted his attack on Thebes. Perhaps it's because of how violently he acted, or the amount of women and children he enslaved, or perhaps how many spirits he essentially broke and murdered. But we'll never truly know for sure. Now you know the who, what, where, when, and why of the destruction of Thebes. Enjoy yourself while you're there, and consider every aspect of Alexander's actions.